brothers and sisters. I am your speaker for today, Sister Ebonee Stevenson. Welcome to the Nation's weekly Sunday worship service. We are live here at 616 East 71st Street in the Grand Crossing community of Chicago, Illinois. I'm going to start off by reciting our opening. In the name of the everlasting Father, he that causes all that exists to exist, he that is self-existent, he who directs the sonships of millions and trillions of years, and he who made time the seed of the universe, known among the ancient Kemites or Egyptians as Amun-Ra and Aten, among the Hebrews as Ansar, Yahweh, and Elohim, among the Christians as Lord, God, and Jehovah, among the Muslims and Islamic world as Allah, the one God, among the Rastafarians as Jah, Rastafari. I bear witness that all of these names refer to the same one, Almighty God, and it is to him whom I give reverence and to whom I submit. I boldly proclaim that we, the descendants of those Black men and women who survived the transatlantic slave trade, are the Lost 13 tribe, born here in North America, and we are of a Nubian Kemetic lineage. I further proclaim that the blood of all the nations of the planet flow through our veins. I greet you in the ancient yet holy words of peace, Hotep, Shalom, Assalamu alaikum, Habaragani, Alafia, and Ashe. The title of my lecture today is Vaccinations, the Great Hoax. So we're going to start off by watching two videos. Minister Omari, please cue the videos. Okay, then we're gonna watch a second video. Okay, so as I said, the title of my lecture is The Vaccinations, the Great Hoax. So before I begin my talk today, I just want to warn you that I'm possibly gonna nerd out a bit, so hashtag Black Nerd Gang in this 30-minute lecture. I might do a part 2 live on Wednesday, depending on your response, especially if you are watching on Facebook. Please feel free to comment on this lecture and join us live for the next hour here at 616 East 71st Street in the Grand Crossing community of Chicago, Illinois. So let's do a little visioning for a second. Everyone close their eyes, okay? Oh, and if you're out there watching live, if you're driving or doing something that you can't close your eyes, just listen to the sound of my voice. So I want you to think about this. You're watching a movie on the Sci-Fi Channel. And in this movie, there's a global pandemic. There's panic in the streets. The store shelves are empty. You can't go to work because nothing is open. The hospital ERs are full. There's strife everywhere you turn. Parents are turned against their children, and children are turned against their parents. And what used to be the go-to place of refuge, religious institutions all across the planet are closed. Community centers for youth are closed. The only stores that are open are gun stores, liquor stores, and some gas stations. Now continue in this visioning session with your eyes closed. The voice, you start hearing the voice. It starts out as a whisper. It starts small. It says, hey, we have a solution to this problem. We know how to get you out of this situation. The voice starts to get louder, and it goes from being a whisper to a worldwide bullhorn saying, just get the vaccine. If you get it, you won't get COVID. You won't get sick. It's safe. Give it to your children. Heck, it's safe for the whole family, including your infants. And then you see the masses. They start to get in these huge lines to take the vaccine. Now, open up your eyes. Sounds like something you saw on TV, right? Didn't sound like something that happened in real life that you witnessed real time, right? Okay. And so when we talk about what happened during the height of COVID, I'm going to focus on Black people for a second, because this is who my lecture is for, people who look like us, the Lost 13 tribe, those who fall under the Black diaspora. Now, we saw this happen real time, what I just described. And then we saw something else that was very interesting. Now, we started to become the poster child for vaccinations. I don't know if you remember when they had the first vaccination and it was live. It was a nurse, remember? And they did a press conference, and she was sitting there at a hospital, a Black nurse, and she got the vaccination. I'm like, oh, the vaccination is safe. And we have to look at how interesting it is when they had so much of the propaganda targeted to us. If we only make up 13% of the population of this country, but yet why was so much propaganda targeted at us? Everywhere we turn, here was a flyer on the radio, man, iHeartRadio, all those Clear Channel, they got millions upon millions of dollars. Hey, come out and get your COVID vaccine. Right now, if you come to this location, we're paying people to get your COVID vaccine. We're paying $100 for vaccination. Bring the whole family. Wow, this was a very interesting phenomenon. It's almost like, well, it's almost like we were watching two gangs. And we're going to call these two gangs. One, for those of you, I told you I'm a nerd out. So those of you who are familiar with X-Men, on one hand, we have the Professor X gang in the Black community. And then on the other hand, we have the Magneto gang in the Black community. So we have the Professor X gang, right? All of the, as Minister says, what does he say? Handkerchief head preachers. All of those people and the executive directors of all these community organizations, they accepted the vaccine, right? Because they didn't want to fight against the status quo. They benefited from it. They wanted to be a part of the masses. And with the backing of their oppressors, the same people who spend millions upon millions of dollars every year to kill them, all of a sudden they believed everything that they had to say. We talked about Dr. Fauci before we started. Man, Doctor, you who watch social media, man, y'all better listen to Fauci. He know what he's talking about. We uplifted Fauci like he was a member of the family as much as he lied to us and as many people who died off of what he said. But we sure know how to uplift these white folks. All to uplift these white folks when they lied to our face several times. So that's the Professor X gang. It's just like X-Men. What happened? Professor X, he wanted the approval of the government. They wanted to be a part of this devil. They wanted to be a part of this society. They wanted to be a part of this capitalism. So what? They went ahead to get them on. We got so many of these preachers in our community got paid so much money. They made more money off of vaccines than they made off of tithes. Does that make sense to you? So we talked about the Professor X gang. Now on the other side, who's Professor X's opposition? We got Magneto, right? We got the Magneto gang. Now the Magneto gang was saying, nah. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. They already knew what it was. They were the ones in every sector. We had Black people in the healthcare industry. We had Black people in the pharmaceutical industry. We had Black people who were all the holistic people. We had teachers, doctors, nurses. They're like, I don't know what y'all doing, but y'all better not get the vaccine. They was all on social media telling y'all, these people over here getting the vaccine, and this is what's really going down. Y'all remember when Facebook and Instagram and they started shutting down people posts when they started posting about the vaccine, started posting about COVID? You got put in what jail? How many people got put in Facebook jail because they made a post about what was really going on? And see, this is the thing about social media and the thing that happened when this pandemic that didn't exist because we had social media. So we had real time seeing what was going on, not just here, that our media that's controlled by the top 1%, these Jewish-owned media companies weren't telling us how it really was. We had international media showing us all these people dying from COVID vaccines. We had international people giving us testimony. Such and such got a vaccine. 2 days later, they was dead, and there wasn't nothing wrong with them. We even had people in our own community saying, man, I had a family member take the vaccine. The next day, they was dead. Man, I had a family member take the vaccine. It wasn't no wrong with them. A couple of days later, they died. And what it reminds me of is there's another shot that's promoted heavily to Black people, but a lot of us don't take. What is that? The flu shot. In our history of dealing with the flu shot in the community, almost every family has a story of either somebody in their family or somebody they know that they took the flu shot and they got really sick or they died. And who do they push the flu shot on? Youth and seniors all the time. But we got so many stories like, man, such and such, their mama took the flu shot. A couple days later, they was dead. Or their mama took the flu shot, man, she was sick for a whole month. We already had a history of what they've been doing to us, but we let that history go. So I'm gonna go back to the my gang situation. Now, Magneto gang, you know, they really tried to give us the truth, and they paid for that truth. Many of them got fired. You know, people, oh, you don't get the vaccine, you're gonna get fired. Oh, you posted this on social media, such and such. We see your post, you get fired. People's income was taken away. People were shamed. Unvaccinated people and those who said, no, don't take the vaccination. We were the scum of the earth, y'all. Now, what side do you think Temple of Mercy, Tomination was on? We were on the Magneto gang side, gang, okay? We told people, do not believe anything that this devil was saying. What did our leader, teacher, and God tell us? Do your own research. And so what happened? We was in Toma doing research, watching videos. Minister always sending us something. Omari sending us something. And we like, And so we came up with the stance, what? We weren't going to take the vaccine. And so thankfully, our minister, our leader, teacher, and God, Minister Rahim Kased-Aten, is also a holistic expert. And so he came up with a holistic prescription for us to improve our immune systems so we didn't get COVID. And then if we did get sick, that we can heal from COVID. And actually during that time, I don't think any of us got COVID during the height of COVID. I know I actually got COVID after the height of COVID. And it was because of that prescription, the Silver Shield and all of those herbs that were prescribed to us, that I was able to bounce back. Like I wasn't even out for a while. I think I was out for a couple of days, and then I was right back at it. And that's all thanks to the vision and the prescription from our leader, teacher, and God. So The reason my time is running short, I got about 15 minutes left, but I'm gonna take this time to talk about our response to the COVID-19 pandemic and vaccinations. So let's get back to Toma. So what do we do here? We walked the path of the righteous. We walked the path that we're supposed to take when there's such a thing as a global pandemic. While everybody was running toward the vaccine, we were running away from the vaccine. And in addition to that holistic prescription for ourselves, we were truly able to save people's lives by giving that prescription to those around us.
Ever get tired? Like really, really, really tired and have no type of motivation?
I don't know, sorry, we have some technical difficulties. But as I was saying, we were able to save people's lives by giving them a holistic prescription. We had Silver Shield, we had Nani Juice, we had so many things. We had Pau D'Arco, we had cayenne and garlic. We stayed on the cayenne and the garlic because Minister Rahim found that it was a lot of people getting taken out by blood clots. And so he had us take garlic because garlic is a natural blood thinner, and he had us take cayenne because cayenne helps with your circulatory system. And so these were the things that we did in order to make sure that we were okay. And what happens when people see that you're not panicking during a pandemic? What happens when people see y'all ain't got COVID? No, I have. They want to know, what are y'all doing? And so we were actually able to take those things that were taught to us and save the lives of other people. And in addition to that, we actually created an unvaccinated support group. Yes, let me say that again. We created an unvaccinated support group. And I want to tell you how important that was. Think about how many religious institutions, churches, mosques, synagogues, how many people were pushing their members to get vaccines. Did that stop them from dying? Did that stop them from getting COVID? Remember when the vaccines first came out and they were saying, take the vaccine, you won't get sick. Take the vaccine, you won't get COVID. We had so many of these religious institutions members was dropping like flies. Every week there was a funeral. Sometimes it was a couple of funerals a couple times a week. But here at Toma, we didn't have those issues. Now, in addition to that, talking about our unvaccinated support group, I just want you to vision how important it was when we were in a state where, like I said, the unvaccinated were the scum of the earth. Anywhere you went in your family, you're not vaccinated. Oh, you can't come over my house if you don't got the vaccine. You can't come to work if you don't got the vaccine. You can't come to school if you don't got the vaccine. Heck, you can't come and stand in line for your food if you don't got the vaccine. You got to stand outside and wait for your food to be ready, and then we'll bring your food out to you. Do you guys remember that? I remember it. They treated us like we were criminals. We had a Zoom every Tuesday where we invited unvaccinated people to come and tell their stories of what they had been experiencing. We had so many people tell us how they were being demonized on their jobs because they didn't want to take the vaccine. We even taught people about the religious exemption, about how to use your religious exemption to help keep your job. And it worked in some situations, and it didn't work in some situations because some of these employers, they were like gangsters. They made up their rules as they went. And it's crazy now that we go and we, in hindsight, and we go back and look at these things. How many lawsuits came about because people were fired because they didn't get the vaccine, and then the employer had to pay them for their back wages? Didn't that happen with the federal government? Everywhere you turn now, the schools, oh, man, you don't have to get the vaccine to come to school no more. That policy about you needing the vaccine to work here, nah, we canceling that. Oh, no, quarantine for 14 days? Nah, if you get COVID, you okay. You don't even got to stay at home. Just come to work. Did the science change in these past 3 years? Or did the propaganda change, and those million deaths that we got in this country alone was what they wanted as when they on their master plan for population control. And of those million deaths, of those people who look like us, wasn't that their plan all along? When we talk about how COVID targeted people with comorbidities who had existing health conditions, how many times you saw on the news, oh, they died because they didn't have the vaccine? How many times you saw on social media, unvaccinated person died because of COVID? We had people who was dying and it wasn't even from COVID, and they were saying unvaccinated person died because of COVID. They really made us be the enemy of the state. And if you have not watched that movie, you really should watch it, because especially as we continue on this path of what we be talking about with the way that the fall of America and everything that's going on with the plants, everything that's going on with the food systems, and how America is falling. And so you need to watch our previous lectures if you want to know more information about that, or join us live here each and every Sunday at 12:30 at 616 East 71st Street in the Grand Crossing community of Chicago, Illinois. But I have about 9 minutes left and I'm gonna continue. But if you are enjoying what you are hearing right now, please feel free to make a comment on the Facebook Live, and I might continue this lecture live on Wednesday at 7 p.m. Now, as I continue to talk about the great hoax of vaccinations, and I just want to say this, we were the underdog. You know how people will always be like, oh, I'm rooting for the underdog? Where TOMA as a whole, the Temple of Mercy Association, was the planetary underdog, because everywhere you looked, planet to planet, everybody was pushing this vaccine. But we saw what was going on. Like I talked about with the flu shots, we had people, man, my mama got the vaccine. A couple days later, she died. My mama got the vaccine. My uncle got the vaccine. They got blood clots. They in an induced coma. We had so many testimonials from the community and around us that it was insane. And even with that knowledge, even with people saying, hey, we talking about Magneto Gang again. Y'all remember Tuskegee experiment. Now y'all remember all these. Y'all remember Henrietta Lacks. Y'all remember, and the immortal cells. Y'all remember all these things that this devil, that the oppressor has done to us. Are we really going to believe what they say? Are we really going to believe what they're telling us to put in our bodies with this mRNA? Are we really going to believe someone that's telling us and basically trying to force us to put synthetic things in our body? And Minister Rahim has said this before about how the pandemic targeted Black people. I mentioned before about comorbidities, about pre-existing health conditions, but I also want to mention something that I saw recently that was also very interesting. Now, we know that there are certain chemicals, right, that cause cancer, right? That there are certain cancer-causing chemicals. We know they're in our food. It's why we fast 3 days a month, because we believe that all of our food is poison. But I want you to think about this. Now, we have these fake grocery stores in our community, like Save a Lot, right? That they sell us this food that's got all of these chemicals, these synthetic ingredients, these lab-created ingredients. And what do those things do to your body? They break your body down, right? They break your immune system down, right? So if we have these fake grocery stores in our community, where even the poorest white communities get access to nutritious, healthy foods and fresh produce, what does that tell you about the plan that they had to know that our bodies are already broken down? We already got pre-existing health conditions. Then we get COVID, and then we get the vaccine, and now what? How many lives were lost through these lies that this devil told us on a daily basis? Now we're going to go into, I want you to see these last little mini videos. And then, like I said, if we get enough views on the live, I'll come back to part 2 of this lecture on Wednesday. But I'm going to continue my talk here live in person at 616 East 71st Street. Minister Omari, can you cue the next 4 mini videos, please? Thank you so much. the reason why I wanted you guys to see those videos is because it seems like every day or every week we're finding something new about what happened during this pandemic. And, we don't use the word pandemic usually. We do know that COVID-19 was not happenstance. And we know that with everything that was in the vaccine, from HIV to all of these other things, that vaccine was created to kill us. And we paid a heavy price. And when I say we, I mean Black people. We paid a heavy price because we did not move the way that God's original people should have moved. We did not listen to our leader, teachers, and guides who were really speaking the truth. We didn't go for substance. We went for nonsense. And what happened? A lot of people perished because we did not do what we were supposed to do. And the crazy thing about this is the pandemic that we just experienced isn't the only thing that's happening right now. There are so many corporations. There's so many of these devils who benefited off the death, pain, and suffering of Black people in these communities who suffered under the pandemic. There are so many people who made years' salary in a couple of months because what they pushed to us. The grocery stores made money with this inflation. The pharmaceutical companies had money for generations, hand over fist. Every week we turned around. Every month, pharmaceutical companies, record-breaking profits. That was a new term we had, right? Oh, Pfizer, they have had record-breaking profits. All of their investors were happy. And they were happy off of what? Because they were making so much money pushing these vaccines to our people. And honestly, when you think about it, you can really look at these pharmaceutical companies as drug dealers. Didn't that remind you of during the pandemic, at the height of the pandemic? They was like, yo, just come get this one vaccine. You'll be straight. Just get one. We're going to let you come get it. You know what? We're going to pay you to get the vaccine. Right? They were really out here like drug dealers pushing the vaccine on us. And we really suffer from that. And so, as I said before, I am going to continue this lecture here live at 616 East 71st Street. But if you would like to hear more on Wednesday at 7 p.m. live, do feel free to drop comments in the chat. I'm going to close with this. I have 1 minute left for the live. We really need to pay attention to what's going on in the world where I've seen. We can't trust what we see on American media. We can't trust everything we see on social media. We can't trust these arms on us. Oh, go get the monkeypox vaccine. Go get this vaccine. Go get this vaccine. Didn't we understand and didn't we suffer enough under the COVID-19 vaccines? Didn't we lose enough lives? Didn't we lose enough people? And so we really got to learn from the mistakes of our past.
Service. We invite you and your family to join us live every Sunday at 671st Street at our new time from 12:30 to 1:30 p.m. and on Facebook from 12:30 to 1 p.m. If you have enjoyed what you have heard, please feel free to support us with a monetary gift on Cash App at $TOMANATION. Once again, that's $TOMANATION. This will conclude our live stream. The message you have been listening to will continue live here at the Toma headquarters. We thank you, Black family. See you next Sunday. Black Power.